We're in the middle of one of those long lulls between content drops in the run-up to Warhammer 3. We'll get news on that front sometime in May after the release of Rome Remastered. Don't know what the final Warhammer 2 Lord Pack will be quite yet, but the Beastmen are very likely to be one of the headlining races, and one of those centerpiece monsters I expect to see there is, of course, the Gorgon, a unit we've discussed multiple times in the past. Across from the Cloven ones, it could be any number of races, but as there's at least some evidence to suggest that Creative Assembly wants a Game 2 faction in there, for better or worse, I think the Lizardmen are the most logical of the four to show up next. They have a clear beast-on-beast theme. I mean, who doesn't love some scaly versus furry action, am I right? Their geometric web and campaign identity is pretty undercooked at the moment. It could use some lovin', and the possible alternatives just don't seem very inspired, if I'm being honest. Rakarth just dropped for the Dark Elves. A Sea Helm Lord Pack for the High Elves makes no sense against a landlocked faction like the Beastmen, and Skaven are, well, they're Skaven. So if it's a Game 2 race, Lizardmen are the frontrunners, I think, and in a similar vein to the Gorgon video I made a while back, I want to focus your attention on another centerpiece unit that hasn't gotten so much attention. One of the few remaining dinosaurs that has the star power to carry a DLC for the Children of the Old Ones. I am, of course, talking about the Troglodon, the Pale Death, a poison-spitting Spinosaur with deadly jaws, rending claws, and a powerful ranged attack. In the lore, these are solitary predators that make their home in underground caverns and grottos, only venturing out into the jungle to feed on prey. They are virtually blind, preferring to hunt through smell, taste, and the viscous poison they spit, which sizzles when it hits a victim's flesh and allows them to close in for that killing strike. Now you might be wondering how you're seeing one on screen right now. Surely they're not out yet. Well, we got an absolutely gorgeous rendition of the beast already present in Warhammer 2, and that is of course due to our wonderful modding community. The Skink Oracle Hero mod for the Lizardmen, currently available on the Steam Workshop, complete with new assets, unique textures, and a full set of Carnosaur animations, which means it will sync kill bad guys, which is always fun. And that's logical that it has the same animation as Carnosaurs, considering they shared the same base kit in 8th edition. The mod was created by Meh, Calm in Normal Time, and Chaos Roby, and you'll get access to them through the Sotek and Old Ones shrines at Tier 5 in campaign. So as one might expect of a gigantic serpent dino with a forked tongue and a forked tail, these babies are blessed by Sotek himself and are literally untamable except for one exception. The Oracles of the Serpent God, powerful skinks born with a forked tail and a domineering disposition who can calm the beast and press them into service as an instrument of war. Adorned with jewels and precious metals, they become an important element of the Old One's Reconquista of Lustria, seeking out long-lost artifacts in restoration of this forgotten Lizardmen empire. And perhaps most importantly, these oracles share a telepathic link with Slann mage priests, allowing the ancients to see through their eyes and influence the world around them with their casting. They are not spellcasters themselves, but Slann can cast magic through them all the same. So due to the Arcane Vassal special rule, Slann mage priests can literally send magic missiles or direct damage spells through the oracle into enemy ranks, which is quite useful considering their high mobility and potential for flanking. On the tabletop, the Troglodon had a movement speed of 7, which would put them anywhere from around 66 to maybe 76 speed in Total War, about the speed of heavy cavalry, and a relatively unimpressive stat line for a monster almost the size of a Carnosaur. But with the additional benefits of Poison, Arcane Vassal, and that poisonous ranged attack, it had some additional utility and a unique battlefield role not shared with other Lizardmen monsters, which makes it a good addition when we're talking about DLC. Unique look, unique playstyle, unique battlefield role, and a big scary beast? Yeah, checks all the boxes there, and would push product pretty damn well alongside something like a Gorgon or a Jabberslave. So in terms of its in-game stats, this is about what we should expect. Maybe with some slight changes here or there, but the modders have done a pretty damn good job translating its tabletop stats and abilities to Warhammer 2. Some modders tend to make their stuff pretty overpowered and not really in line with what Games Workshop originally envisioned, or just outright ignore the source material when it comes to designing their special abilities, which is no problem, obviously. If you make a unit, you can do whatever the hell you want with it, right? But I prefer that unit mods based on the army books at least try and mirror the source material, if not outright copy-paste it. So the Oracle and his Troglodon buddy have 3 special abilities. Spit Venom is similar to Throg's Vomit, 90-meter magic missile that can take out blobs of infantry on a 90-second cooldown. I might prefer the final unit when it comes to DLC have actual ammunition, kind of like an ancient salamander rather than a long cooldown ability, but either way, this is the ranged element that will make the Troglodon have some different battlefield applications than something like a Carnosaur, which is, of course, purely designed for melee. And I tend to enjoy units that can seamlessly transition between long-distance fighting and CQB, so this monster will be right up my alley. Its second ability is called Primeval Roar, a wailing cry that drives Lizardmen into a savage frenzy. This will increase melee attack and charge bonus around it at the cost of Rampage for 18 seconds. And the final ability is an upgrade in 8th edition called the Divining Rod that increases recharge rate and power reserve. So even though the Oracle can't cast spells himself, he can improve winds of magic for your other casters and is great in that type of support role. In its current form, there does not appear to be any form of Arcane Vassal implemented that would allow a mage to send magic through the Oracle, but I'm hoping the final DLC implementation will have this feature so that Aslan Mage Priest might actually send a Fireball or a Soul Quench through our new buddy down the flank of an enemy battle line, which would be incredibly useful if you think about it, because it's a lot easier for a Skink Oracle on a Troglodon to set up on a flank and send magic missiles through enemy ranks or direct damage an enemy lord, considering it's got 70 plus move speed, than it would be for a toilet seat tub of lard chilling on his palanquin throne to accomplish the same thing. I think that would be a really unique feature that needs to make it in the game in some capacity. Realistically, I could see Creative Assembly taking the easier approach here and just giving them a bound spell magic missile and a bound direct damage spell and calling it a day. But I think that would be a somewhat disingenuous take on the lore, considering that Skink Oracles are not casters in and of themselves, so they should not be able to cast magic. They should only be able to channel it from another mage that's already on the field. It's interesting because at the moment, the Spit Venom ability is actually pretty horrendous against single entities, or at least foot-sized ones. I've not tested it against something big, like Minotaurs or a Carnosaur, anything like that. But I have tried it on a High Elf Prince standing still, and it barely tickled him. I mean, it did almost no damage whatsoever. It was a little bit better against blobs of infantry in this mod, where it might get 15 to 25 kills on High Elf Spearmen if they're really bunched up. But yeah, at the moment, the Venom aspect is pretty underwhelming and might need a little bit of tweaking. You'd want to differentiate it from the Carnosaur in its final DLC implementation. Obviously, the Carnosaur is specialized in engaging high-value armored monsters, so the Troglodon Venom should probably be good at killing elite infantry like Blackguard, melting through their high armor, but having a very limited amount of poison to spit during the course of a battle. I think that would kind of give it a unique niche that the other dinosaurs don't really cover well. A fast, ranged monster with armor piercing and poison bile sounds like it could be a really fun addition. In contrast to something like the Gorgon, I don't really feel like the Troglodon fills a role that the Lizardmen are in dire need of filling or anything like that, but the model is awesome, the animations could be awesome, and it really ticks all the boxes for a unit people should be excited for. It's a dynamic, mobile, high micro unit that has a variety of ways to impact the battlefield, and that's all you can really ask for in a DLC. Of course, still remains to be seen if the Lizardmen are next on the agenda. We don't know that yet, but I think they are the most likely option at this point, unless Creative Assembly decides to double back on their Game 2 philosophy and work in some more Warhammer 1 love. I would not mind seeing the Beastmen go up against the Vampire Counts or Dwarfs or some of these other Warhammer 1 factions. I think that would actually be ideal. I think it's something a lot of us could get behind. So make sure to go give this amazing Troglodon mod a try. Leave your feedback on the Steam page if you have any suggestions for it. Enjoy it. And let me know what you'd like to see out of the Pale Death when it finally makes its official Total War Warhammer 2 debut. I will see you all in the next video.